Hey humans, it's Miss Garcia coming at you. Welcome back. Today we're going to pick back up with genetics, but we are going to start to break the rules. So earlier what we had been talking about before the break was known as Mendelian genetics, and those follow certain rules like dominant traits, mask recessive traits or cover-up recessive traits anytime the two are present together. And the only way a recessive trait can be expressed is if there's two recessive alleles. So those were some of the basic Mendelian rules we learned. But today we're going to break those rules and learn two different types of inheritance. So one is called incomplete dominance and the other is called codominance. Let's do this thing. So there can be some traits with exceptions to those Mendelian rules. And that's, again, another exception is known as incomplete dominance. So in incomplete dominance, in a heterozygote form, both alleles are partially expressed, meaning they then blend instead of one dominating over one another. So they blend like two colors of paint. So you see in this little picture here, these are a plant called snapdragons, and these are pink snapdragons, right? And so those are actually the product of a red flower being crossed with a white flower. And instead of having one color dominate over the other, it makes a blending of a pink flower. Okay, so what you're seeing here is the result of a cross between a red and white flower. You cross a red and white flower, all of their offspring would have this blending of the trait and have pink flowers. But if you cross two heterozygotes, then you would have the chances of producing one red flower again, one white flower again, and two pinks. So, incomplete dominance. This is another example of incomplete dominance. These are known, this little dude here is known as a Palomino horse, which he is the result of a cross between a chestnut-colored horse, you see how this horse is nice and brown, and a cremello, or a white-colored horse. So you cross a white horse with a chestnut horse, and they will then blend, because that's incomplete dominance, they'll blend into a lighter caramel color or tan-colored horse. So it says practice the cross using a Punnett square. So let's see what the parents' cross would have looked like, and then we're going to see what it would have looked like if we would have crossed this fella with another lady horse with a Palomino color. Let's create a Punnett square using this as one of the parents, and this is the parents to predict the offspring. So we've got a square where we're going to use white to represent the white horse, and I'm going to use chestnut to represent the chestnut color horse. So we'll do the cross CW, 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 and that CW equals that Palomino color. So 100% of the offspring, 4 out of 4, would show that Palomino color. What if we did a cross to where two Palominos were bred? So their genotype is CW, CW. Okay, so we do the cross, CC, C, oh boy, that's a hot mess. CW, CW, C, oh, hot mess again. WW, I'm off my game. All right, so now looking at that, we can see that 25% of the offspring have a chance of being that cremello or white color. 25% have a chance of being brown in color. Oops, I'm backwards. Chestnut's brown. This is white. And then 50% have a chance of being CW, which is Palomino colored horse. All right, moving on. So this is the second type of non-Mendelian inheritance pattern we're going to look at. This is known as codominance. So codominance is where the heterozygous form, basically neither phenotype will be dominant except both will be present. So check out this chicken. This chicken has a Dominique pattern. That chicken is both black and white. So what do you think his parents look like? One was a black chicken, one was a white chicken, and since this was codominant, means black and white will both show up. So let's do a little cross of our chicken friend And the cross says, let's cross a black chicken and a white chicken and see what we get if that trait is codominant. So one parent is black, one parent is white. Do the cross. So that BW genotype results in the phenotype of being both black and white. So if a black chicken and a white chicken were crossed, 100% of the offspring would show up Dominique, that black and white color. Another example of codominance in humans is blood types. So ABO blood typing. So I'm pretty sure you've heard that before, like what type blood you have, whether you have type A blood, type B blood, or type A, B, or O. Basically, there's 4 main blood types you can have. And that's because they're can be codominant. So A and B are actually codominant of each other. That's why there can be A and B type blood. O is actually recessive to A and B. So if you were AO, since O is recessive, you would just show up as being A. So the phenotypes of blood are just saying what blood type you have. So if you were like, what's the phenotype of somebody with O blood? You are saying the phenotype. That's O blood. So A is a phenotype, B is a phenotype, AB. This is what it looks like expressed in genotypes. So they show blood types sitting on top of capital letter I's for all the letters A and B. So this person here is homozygous for having A blood. This person here is heterozygous. This little I, lowercase I by itself, represents O's. So the only way you can be O is if you have 2 O's. You inherit 2 O's from your parents. Okay, so don't worry too much about the genotypes. We'll work out our practice problems using phenotypes. They'll all turn out the same way. So combination of A and A, if you inherit 1 A allele from mom, 1 A allele from dad, you'd be type A. If you inherit A and O, you still show up as being A because A is dominant, O is recessive. So you still show up with O blood. You can still be a carrier. AB is another blood type. B plus B is B. B plus O, again, the O is recessive, so its mass will show up O. So the only way you can have O blood is if you have 2 alleles for O blood. So here we go with our practicing blood types. A man of blood type A, homozygous, so if he's blood type A homozygous, means he has 2 capital A's, marries a woman with type AB blood. What's the chance they will have a child with AB blood? So let's cross this out. Boom, shakalaka. Okay, so check it out. What's the probability they will have a child with type AB blood? So look, there's 2 out of 4, so 50% chance of having a child with AB blood. Okay, so this is something, here's another example I can give you. This is something me and my sister always used to fight. I look nothing like my parents, and she'd be like, you're adopted, just to be mean to me. And so when I started learning about blood types, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? I heard my mom said that she was type A blood, and my dad said that he was type A blood, and when my sister finally had to go to the doctor and get her blood drawn, they said she was O. And I'm like, aha, you are adopted. Until I learned these rules, right? What's one way that my parents who could have produced a child with O blood? Because if I said my dad was A, my mom was also A, so the way that my sister could inherit O blood is if my parents were heterozygotes. So, AO, AO, O. There's my sister. I guess she's not adopted. So, that case was disproven, and then she's like, you're the one adopted. I'm like, no, I'm not. I have AB blood. I'm not adopted. So I wanted to show her in a Punnett square, so I did this. There's my mom. There's my dad, right? And remember, I'm AB, so I'm just going to show my sister here. Oh, snap. There's no AB. Oof. Yikes. Let's forget that and move on. So, this, when I was talking about blood type, that is a trait that has multiple alleles. Everything we've talked about thus far, we basically have been saying that there's 2 alleles for it. Something can either be black versus white. Something could either be tall versus short. But when we talked about blood type, there was actually A, B, O. There were 3 alleles, right? So that would be an example of a trait with multiple alleles. Down here in the example below, it's talking about chinchilla fur color. So they can either be dark gray, they can be chinchilla color. Oh, it's rabbits. Talking about rabbit fur color, they can either be dark gray, chinchilla color, Himalayan, white. So there are 4 alleles for that trait that the rabbits could get for their fur color. When we were talking about genetics before we took off, I kept mentioning to you guys, because when we were talking about plant height, everybody, we were saying a plant could be tall versus short, a plant could be short versus tall, and kids started to wonder, hey, well, both my parents are short, why am I not tall? What's going on here? A lot of human traits, though, are known as, you're known as inheriting them through polygenic inheritance. It means that it's a pattern of inheritance that's controlled by 2 or more genes. So not just one gene is going to tell you if you're short or tall. You're going to have several genes that will do that. So some example is height in humans is not just determined by one gene. It's determined by poly means multi, right? Skin color is another one of those, and so is eye color. So a lot of factors go into how you're going to inherit those traits because it's on so many genes. Skirt. Pop quiz. A roan cow is a product of a red cow and a white cow. What type of inheritance is exhibited, friends? Think about it for a second. A roan cow is a product of a red and a white cow. He is both red and white. Both are showing up. If 2 people show up, like if there's 2 captains, you are co-captains of a ship, right? So since he has both patterns showing up, this is known as B, codominance. Let's try the next one. Oh boy, check this chick's forearms out. Don't get distracted by that. Let's just try the problem here. Curly-headed people have the genotype of 2 capital H's, while straight-headed people have the genotype of 2 lowercase h's. A wavy-headed person is heterozygous. What is the type of inheritance? So straight plus wavy, or straight hair plus curly hair will give you the heterozygous wavy form. That sounds like a blending to me. So which one of these were when the traits blended? Ding, ding, ding. Incomplete dominance. That is correct. Next quiz question is this. How well a person performs on an IQ test is controlled by multiple genes. Which of the following types of inheritance does this exhibit? Multiple genes. So that sounds like polygenic inheritance, F. Okay, so Kim has always wondered why her second toe is longer than her first. Oh, yikes. She recently discovered that that's a dominant trait. This trait is considered to exhibit complete dominance, codominance, incomplete dominance, sex link, or multiple alleles or polygenic. Her second toe is longer than the first. She recently discovered that's a dominant trait. So that would be an example of A, complete dominance. Alrighty, last problem. Blood types fall under what category? Blood types fall under the category of which type of inheritance? So would that be complete dominance, codominance, incomplete sex link, or multiple alleles? So remember, there are how many alleles for blood types? There are A, B, and C. That sounds like multiple alleles to me if I ever heard it. So the answer is E, multiple alleles. All right, friends. Well, that's all I have for you for today. We'll see you very soon. Go ahead and smash that like button.